I know that this is typically a desk setup channel, but 6 years ago, I survived a suicide attempt and I ended up getting sober and my life completely changed. And I wanted to tell you guys that story today. Taking it back to where it all began, I had a really, really blessed childhood. Um, my family was together, my parents were married. Overall, we had a really, really good childhood, a lot better than a lot of people are blessed to have, and I'm very, very lucky for that, and it's not lost on me. But I do deal with alcoholism and drug addiction running in my family. Everybody's either like long-term sober or still getting loaded. We did deal with some mental illness issues with my older brother when I was young. Um, there were some crazy situations, but nothing ever super traumatic for me as a kid. And overall, we did have a really, really charmed life. We were raised in a lower middle class community in the foothills of Central California, just outside of Stockton. If anybody's familiar with California, thank God we were an hour away from Stockton. My dad was a salesman and my mom was a teacher, so it's not like we were rich by any means, but financially we were stable. The bills were paid, we had food on the table, and we were able to do some fun things as a family. My parents, like any normal relationship, had their issues, and I'm sure at times they were worse than others, but at the end of the day, they did really try and provide me a life of education and athletics, and they tried to raise me to be a respectable, respectful, caring young man. So the only reason I'm really saying this is a lot of people's stories with drinking and drugs start from issues as a child, and I just didn't really have that reason to drink. When I started drinking, I was like 9 or 10, and I wasn't drinking to escape any kind of trauma or make myself feel like I fit in necessarily. It wasn't anything that I was trying to change about myself or my life at that time. All that happened was uh, I took a drink when I was very young, and the way that it made me feel was something that even in that moment, I thought, wow, like life is just way more fun with alcohol. This is awesome. For anyone out there who is an alcoholic or a drug addict, you will understand what I mean when I say that once I started drinking for real in my teenage years, I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop in the long run, but every time I did drink, I drank to blackout. There was no such thing ever for me as drinking like a gentleman, if you will. I made it through middle school, having drank a few times, but there was never really any consequences. And I had good grades, and I was a basketball player pretty much year round. That was what a lot of my life was dedicated to, was playing basketball at the time. Started to get a little hairy once I got into high school, though. So my freshman year, I was 14 or 15 years old, whatever you are, freshman year. It's a long time ago. I remember the first set of finals I was ever going to take as a high schooler. It was halfway through my freshman year. There was a 2-hour study hall class before my first final, and me and a buddy ended up drinking a couple Crystal Geyser water bottles full of Taka vodka, and I blacked out. I blacked out bad, and when I sat down in the next class to take the final, I was laying there with my head on the desk, and I just kept telling the teacher, like, oh, I don't feel good, I don't feel good, and I ended up throwing up all over the girl that was sitting next to me. By the end of my freshman year, 15 years old, I had already kind of made the decision that I couldn't really care any less about school. The only thing that I needed to do was maintain my grades enough so that I could continue playing basketball. By the end of my high school years, when I was 17, 18 years old, I had pretty much lost all aspiration to play college basketball, which for a long time for me was the penultimate goal. That's where I wanted to get in life, and as long as I maintained grades, to play basketball year round, then that was perfect for me. And by the end of my high school career, I was still playing basketball, but the love was gone, and partying had become hands down my number one priority in life. It wasn't about the game on Friday night. It was about where am I going to get trashed after the game on Friday night. I graduated high school in 2015. I graduated with 200 other kids, so it was a real small school. And I remember there were already like rumors about me and the way that I partied. And I was like one of the kids that other parents didn't want their kids hanging out with because I was known to just be just terrible when I would drink. Between 2015 and 2017, I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail because it's not important, but that time of my life is pretty much just a blur. So in 2017, that's when things really started to go sideways in my life. My dad had been sober for a long, long time, on and off, but mostly sober. And throughout my life, he had always been a fantastic dad to me. You know, we ate organically in the house. He went to church every Sunday, the gym, basketball. We did a lot of stuff together, fishing, camping, all of this stuff. And in 2017, my dad gets arrested after relapsing on some harder substances that he used to do when he was younger. And it really derailed the direction of my life and especially my mom's life. At the time, my thinking was I should move home from San Diego, which is where I was living at the time, back to Northern California to move in with my mom now that my dad was gone. And I thought at the time that I was being a good son by doing that. And really, what ended up happening was my mom continued working, and I took on the role at that time of a 24-hour a day alcoholic, man. My alcoholism really started to take full effect, and there's some literature about addiction, and one of the books that I've read talks about at some point there's this invisible line that gets crossed in your drinking and using career, that once you cross over that line, there is no going back. And 2017 was when I crossed that line. For the next few years, my life kind of just feels like a lucid dream almost. It's just in and out of blackouts every single day, 6 o'clock in the morning at the liquor store buying Four Locos. And I used to buy these tall cans of malt liquor called Hurricanes, and I would buy these potato wedge things from the gas station at 6 o'clock the second they would sell liquor. And I remember almost every day I would come home, I would sit in the car, and I would drink these malt liquor Hurricane things and eat these potatoes and smoke cigarettes, and then I would throw up like every day, and it was disgusting. And still to this day, I don't really like ranch dressing because of that. So during these couple years, my life pretty much just became a series of wake up, drink, blackout, get high, party, run from the cops, get in fights, crash cars, alienate people who loved me. And amongst all of the things that I was doing on the surface, out and about in the world, and drinking, and the things I was doing that were extremely shameful, the worst part about all of it was I pretty much lost any and all connection with people who I cared about, who cared about me, and who wanted to see me change my life for the better. And if anybody came to me at that point in my life and told me that they were worried about me or thought that I needed to change something, it was just, you gotta go. You gotta go. You now no longer fall in alignment with the way that I want to drink and use, so I'm out. We don't need to see each other anymore. So those of you who may have an understanding of alcoholism and drug addiction might recognize the term incomprehensible demoralization. And that is the point that I had gotten to in late 2018, 2019. I was pretty much at a point in my life where I wanted to stop drinking so badly. I every day, the first thing that popped into my head was, how do I get through today without taking a drink? How do I not get high today? Almost like an autopilot, every single day I would get loaded, no matter how badly I did not want to. I just had to. It was some sort of compulsion beyond my mental control. It's this craving that cannot be satisfied no matter how much you drink and use, and no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the consequences are. There's just no physical way to stop yourself. And you want to stop drinking and using, and then you find that you can't. It is a terrible, terrible, terrible place to be in life. At 21 years old, I was dying, man. I was dying. My body was shutting down. I'm about 6 feet, between 5'11 and 6'1, depending on the day. But I weighed about 120 pounds. I was emaciated. My skin was gray. My body was just giving out on me, man. I was dying, and there was just nothing that I could do with whatever strength I had to quit. And at this time, I had pretty much gone into complete isolation. I didn't drink or get high with anybody else, really. I would at times, but it was very brief. I would go out, have a couple beers, and then I just wanted to get back to wherever I could be alone and to drink and use the way that I needed to be okay with myself. I will tell you guys a funny story. Right around this period of time before I got sober, I had been on a few day bender. I was awake for a few days, so that might give you some inclination of what drugs I was on. But I'd been awake for a few days, and I physically couldn't get any liquid to stay down in my stomach. I just, anytime I put any type of liquid in my mouth, I would throw it up immediately. And I needed to drink, man. I needed to drink. I was losing my mind. I came up with a plan. I was dunking tampons in a bottle of Jameson whiskey, and I was shoving them up my ass. And the thought process was, maybe once I get the applicator off, the tampon would like release some of the whiskey into some part of my body that would allow me to be able to hold down more liquor. And I needed to get liquor in my system, and that is the point that I got to. So that was late June of 2020, and I was at the end of my road, man. I was at the end of my road, and I can't remember exactly if it was the last day of June or July 1st of 2020, but I did try to kill myself. I was at the end of my road. I didn't see any hope in life. I knew that I was just gonna be a piece of shit, strung out, alcoholic dude yelling at the fucking street pole on the corner. So that takes me to, I guess, getting sober. I was in San Diego at the time. My mom was still in Northern California, and her mom spidey senses were going off. She knew that something was seriously wrong with me, and my mom is like my road dog. We are so close. I love my mother with all of my heart, and so it was very strange for her to not have heard from me for a few months. And so I get a call from her one day, and I don't know why I decided to answer it, because I hadn't in months, but I answered the call, and all she said was, "I'm coming to see you. Tell me where you are. I don't need you to do anything. I'm just worried about you, and I want to see you. And no matter what it is that you're going through, if you want help, we can find you help." Up to that point in my life, anytime somebody had offered a statement like that to me, I immediately shut them out. But for some reason, I don't know, spiritual intervention of some sort, I don't know why. I don't have any explanation for why, but I said, okay. I said, yeah, I gotta try something, otherwise I'm gonna die. My mom came down sometime the first couple days of July, and I remember the morning of July 3rd. I woke up, I knew I was going to rehab, and for some reason, the compulsion to drink was not there that day. I was so beaten and in so much pain, and I was so sick that I just slept all day. And I remember pissing the bed and sweating and just I was dying. But for some reason, the 3rd of July 2020, I didn't get loaded. And my mom got there that night, and the morning of the 4th of July in 2020, she took me to a rehab here in Los Angeles. And that's kind of where my life began. My sobriety date is July 3rd of 2020. I know I didn't really talk about the pandemic at all, because during that time, the pandemic just allowed me to be able to drink and use like a maniac. And even that things were still kind of shut down in 2020 by the pandemic, me going into rehab didn't really cause any effect to my outside life. Not that I had anything going on anyways, but it was just timing of it all was insane that I said yes to my mom helping me, and then I ended up in rehab all during this time where the world was kind of shut down and there was not much else going on. So I really could dedicate myself to trying to change. Today, I can tell you guys honestly, and being proud of myself for this, I am free of all mind-altering substances. I don't drink. I don't use any kind of drugs. I don't smoke weed. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. By the way, I'm going to say this because I think it affects a lot of people out there. I don't believe in California sober. I think that's a terribly, terribly dangerous thing to say to people. If you can smoke weed and not drink or do any other drugs, that's great, but don't call it sober, because there's somebody else out there who's dealing with serious alcoholism and drug addiction who's going to hear Cali sober and think that they can smoke weed too, and it could end up with them being dead. I know a lot of people that have tried to get sober over the years and didn't, because they clung to smoking weed, because there's a lot of people out there that do it. If you can do it, I'm jealous of you. I'm very happy for you. But Cali sober is not a real thing. And I'm sorry if that opinion you disagree with or hurts your feelings, but it's just the truth. I care a lot about people who struggle with addiction and alcoholism, and it's a very, very dangerous term. So again, I'm 6 years sober now. Another thing that I do need to make clear is that I'm not against partying. I'm not against drinking. I'm not against getting high. I just have that thing, that alcoholism, that addiction, that I cannot safely drink or use in any way. And if you're able to, I am so stoked for you. If I was able to drink and smoke and not destroy my life and everybody's life around me, I probably would, because I love drinking and I love using, I love partying, I love the lifestyle, I love the craziness, the chaos. It all works for me, but it doesn't. Don't take this video as like me condemning anybody who drinks or blah, 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 blah. It's not that type of thing. More so what I'm trying to relay here is that if you do have a problem with drinking or using, there's hope, because for a long time I felt like there was no hope and no way for me to get sober. But most of the people in my life today are people who, what we refer to as normies, who can drink and maybe do a little drugs here and there, smoke some weed, and have a perfectly normal life. And more power to you. I'm not better than anyone. I'm not worse than anyone. One of the things that I've learned in my sobriety is that I'm just having a human experience, and that's the best I'll ever be, is a human that makes mistakes. Not better, not worse. I'm just a person. I say that to say that my life today is better than anything I ever could have imagined when I got sober. Do I have the super nice car? No. Do I have a shitload of money? No. Do I have the crazy house? No. I'm sitting on my apartment balcony that I pay a stupid amount of money for a tiny little 2-bedroom apartment. Do I have all the glitz and glamour shit? No, I don't. But I've learned that that's not what life is about for me. I have a beautiful fiance who loves me. And do we have problems like any other relationship? Yes. Sometimes we want to fucking fight each other, but who doesn't? I have a beautiful daughter who cannot wait to crawl into my arms every morning and every night and be with her dad. I am, for the most part, financially stable. The bills get paid, food's on the table, we have a place to live, we get to and from work. My daughter is healthy and has access to everything that she needs. It's not about the extra stuff, it's about what's necessary, and we definitely have been given that in our lives. The crazy part about being sober is that life doesn't stop, right? When I got sober, there was kind of this jaded aspect that now that I'm sober and not drinking, everything in life is just going to be peaches and porn, as some people call it. It's not all just going to be great. There's still going to be money problems. There's going to be car accidents. There's going to be deaths in the family. There's going to be all these issues in life that continue happening, which happen to all of us. But the gift is that I get to stand up and handle those things like a man today, because I've been shown how to live that way by really good mentors. And at the end of the day, the thing that I have to remember when things get hard is that I don't have to drink or use over them today. So a couple of the really meaningful things that have happened over the last 6 years of being sober, and they're all a gift of being sober for somebody like me, because a lot of these things have to do with relationships that were not good before I got sober, and things that were just not gonna ever happen for me while I was drinking and using. And when I had a little over a year sober, an uncle of mine had passed away, and his daughter, my cousin, who I'm very, very close with, she was gonna ask my dad to walk her down the aisle at her wedding, but my dad was in jail, and then I ended up getting sober, and she asked me and another one of our cousins to walk her down the aisle at her wedding. And it's just one of those things that I never would have been able to show up for if I was still getting loaded. And looking back, it still chokes me up every time. It's been 5 years, but it's just something that means so much to me, and I know it meant a lot to her and to my other cousin that we did it all together. The fact that I was available and present and able to show up and be that person for my cousin for the most beautiful day of her life was just mind-blowing. Today, man, I can't even explain my relationship with my mom. She is fantastic. I love her to death. And I actually haven't told her about this channel, so Mom, if you ever see this, I love you. Today I get to show up for her, man. Things were really hard for her for years after my dad got arrested, and then on top of it, I was getting loaded and disappearing. And when I finally got sober, part of my amends process to pay my mom back essentially for all those sleepless nights and years of torture, I've been able to show up for her in her life and be there. When things are hard, I'm always there, and that's not me. I don't say any of these things to be like, oh, look at how great I am, because that's not the person that I am. I run and I hide and I get loaded and I disappear, and I don't give a shit about what anybody else is going through. But because of my sobriety, and again, because of some really good mentors, some men in my life that have shown me how to be a man, to be there for my mom, and she's my best friend. I talk to her nonstop. We text every day. We FaceTime 3 or 4 times a week so that she can see my daughter. She does still live in Northern California, and we live in Los Angeles, so I don't get to see her all the time, but we do talk every single day. Another relationship that means the world to me is my grandparents. I FaceTime my grandma a few times a week too. In fact, my daughter is just really learning how to talk now. She's 15 months old, and one of the only words that she likes to say right now is Papa, and that's what I call my grandpa, is Papa. And whenever I FaceTime them, she just lights up and she Papa, Papa, Papa. And it's funny. It's starting to bother my grandma a little bit. She's starting to be like, "Can you say Grammy? Can you say?" But it's just a beautiful relationship that I get to have with these people in my life. Since I got sober, I've pretty much had men guiding me on how to walk through life, and I've had a steady job since I got sober. I've been able to fix my credit. I've been able to have payments on things like cars and apartments and whatever else that normal people do, but I could never have dreamed of doing. Um, I've gotten to take care of all these things that just seemed impossible for me at, the point in my life 6 years ago before I got sober. These things would never have been achievable for me. Most importantly, at the end of the day is my family, my fiance and my daughter. I just, given the person that I was 6 years ago, today I consider myself to be extremely overpaid and overvalued. Um, there's still part of me at times that falls into the mental trap of, if everybody around me knew what a piece of shit I really am, nobody would stick around. But the fact of the matter is that I do make mistakes and I still have my issues. I still have these defects in my character that I'm working on a daily basis and that I talk to people about, and I try and call myself out on them, and I try and be quick to apologize. I still have these issues, but the relationship that I have with my fiance and my daughter is something that goes beyond that fear that I have of not being lovable, I guess. She has loved me through thick and thin. We have been there for each other emotionally and financially and through family problems. And the fact that, I met my fiance because of sobriety, and we ended up building this relationship and having this beautiful little girl is all because of my sobriety. And again, I don't say that like it's my sobriety that gives us that. It's just I have to credit the fact that if I wasn't sober, I don't think I know I wouldn't be able to hold together any of this kind of life. So that kind of leads me up to today, man. I'm 6 years sober, and I know this video is coming out a little late, but I'm 6 years sober, and life has just gotten infinitely better since I got sober. And I think I need to reiterate that the reason I'm sharing this story is because it's scary, to be honest. It was really difficult to make this video. It's really scary to put this online. And I had some back and forth with myself about anonymity issues and whether or not I should even put this out there, but I chose to do it because I think that, one, I'm not getting paid to do this, and two, if this reaches even one person that can relate to any of this, and just catch a glimpse of, well, if this fucking idiot got sober, then maybe I can too, then this video will have served its purpose. One of the greatest things about alcoholism and drug addiction is there's a level of connection for people that have made it through it that is it's a different type of love, and this like joyousness in the freedom of not having to drink and use anymore that is incredible. So if you are sober, short term, long term, brand new, still in rehab, just getting sober, whatever, leave it in the comment, man. I'd love to talk to you guys. I thought for years that I was completely alone in this fight that I was going through with trying to stop drinking and using on my own. And again, because of certain anonymity things, I'm not gonna go into any of the mechanics of how I got sober. If you do want to talk about that with me, I'd be more than happy to oblige. It's just going to need to be a private conversation. I'm not going to do it in any public setting. So I don't even know how to do that. I think there's a new like direct message thing on YouTube, which I haven't used, but I don't know if we can use that. But if nothing else, leave your email in the comments and we can email privately. Last but not least, I'm gonna leave some links to resources if you or anybody you know in your life is struggling with alcohol addiction, drug addiction, mental illness. There's going to be hotlines for a bunch of different resources that you can find down below. I implore you, if you're having any of these issues, you're not alone. Reach out and try and get some help, because it's there and it's available for you. I know this one was kind of heavy today, guys, but part of this channel isn't just the desk setup. It's named Building Kyle because I wanted to share my journey inside and outside of the whole desk tech thing. And this is a huge part of my life. And I never would have even started this channel if I wasn't sober. And, you know, I've learned to go through things that are scary, and this channel is terrifying. It's insane. I can't thank, I think it's up to 20 subscribers now. I can't thank you guys enough. As always, I appreciate whoever is watching this video up to this point, that you've spent the time to listen to this. I know it's going to be a little long and it's kind of serious and kind of out of the typical range of what this channel is. So even more grateful that you've watched this far. So per the usual, hit the subscribe button. It means the world to me. The support on the channel has been insane. The little bell icon. Leave a like on the video, hit the little thumbs up guy down there on the little bar, and I think most importantly with this video, leave a comment. Whether you or somebody you know has struggled with any of this type of stuff, or if it's just something that's interesting to you. As you can see, I'm kind of an open book. Again, I'll talk about what I can with you. I love hearing from people. I love responding to people. It's one of the coolest parts about doing this is having these random interactions with people in the comments. So as always, man, I appreciate you guys. Subscribe, bell, like, comment. I will see you guys in a couple weeks.